Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right, welcome everybody. And welcome to Whole Health Weekly, the one where we go over information that is this week's topics of discussion. But before we do that, this is episode 4. It's always going to be on Wednesday. We're going to release it Wednesday night, and hopefully you enjoy it. Sometimes it'll be a recording, sometimes it'll be live. So that's my hope, just to make sure I'm pretty consistent on it. Tonight's in a recording of it. And then because we got some basketball to play tonight. So I wanted to get to it. Episode 4 will sponsor chiropractic principle number 4. So what we're going to do is chiropractic philosophy goes based on 33 chiropractic principles that were written years and years ago, over 100 years ago, I think. Over 100 years ago by a man named Stevenson. So Stevenson came up with these 33 principles, and they're so relevant even today. So that's why I wanted to always introduce it. And then after that, we'll go over some articles and some things this week that were on different social media platforms, and then see. And now that TikTok's back, we can have all the crazy TikTok health advices, and then see if some of the advice is good or some of the advice is not so good. So you decide on that. But we'll just put a chiropractic spin on it. So our first thing is chiropractic principle number 4 for episode 4. Chiropractic principle number 4 is called what we like to call the triune of life. Okay. So the triune of life, as it's stated, is a triunity, which is an old word for, I don't know if we use that word anymore. So life is a triunity having 3 necessary united factors, namely intelligence, force, and matter. So if you remember our first 3 principles, right, that there's a universal intelligence within us all, that universal intelligence of the world is, let's say, gravity. Think of the physics that way. And then our body, our physical body, has within it matter that has to interact with that universal intelligence. And we call that matter has within it its own intelligence called innate intelligence. So those 2 intelligences interact throughout the thing to create the perfect environment for us to express. So this week's is talking about all of those things intermingling is what creates life. So the energy, the life force within us has to have intelligence and matter, right? So kind of cool how that kind of puts together, and it starts making sense. And a lot of times when you think of this, my favorite thing is to tell, somebody that's interested in, living a holistic lifestyle, is really look at it that way. So you have, right now, the last 2 days in Michigan, it was very cold, right? And so it was very cold. And how do we adapt to that? Our intelligence of our body makes us shiver, makes us tighten up a little bit, but we can survive it. The blood vessels actually do. If you had to think of all that stuff and use your brain to do, all right, brain, make sure my blood vessels tighten up around my extremities. And that's why your hands get cold, right? To keep all that blood within, so it keeps us warming, right? Shivering is a way to increase our temperature inside. So we actually do all those things with this intelligence. So sometimes as we go through these seem so simple, but they're really the key to understanding health and vitality is understanding how the universal intelligence of the world is reacting to your innate intelligence of your body through the matter with which you were given. And so our job as a holistic person, thinking that way, is we want to make sure that there's no interference to the expression of this innate intelligence through the matter that we actually have. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, so hopefully you enjoy those little snippets as we go. We only got, what is that, 29 more of those, but that'll keep me on track also, because I always like, this is a very principal thing for me. I want to keep going on these, and then hopefully I get better and better at them. Okay, so let's start with the stuff I found in the medical world this week. I found a good one actually. Lipomas. Okay, so lipomas. A lot of people have these. Lipomas are basically a lump under your skin, and it's made of lipids, which is the fat cells. It's they're like a cyst that grows. Okay, so I want to read what the medical says in this article, and then I'm going to give the innate chiropractic perspective on it. This is written by Joanna Cavaco Silva, and it was updated last year, December 20th. Okay. So a lipoma is a lump under the skin that occurs due to an overgrowth of fat cells. Lipomas are typically harmless, but people may wish to remove one that causes pain, complications, and other symptoms. Lipomas can occur anywhere on the body where fat cells are present, but they tend to appear on the shoulders, the chest, the trunk, the neck, the thighs, and the armpits. In less common cases, they may form in internal organs, bones, or muscles. They feel soft and they may move slightly under the skin when people press down on them, but they usually grow slowly over months to years between the two. All right. Now, what I wanted to bring those up because a lot of people have them, and then they ask the doctor, like, what the heck they are. Okay. So one of the things that happens in that world is that lipomas are very simple. In chiropractic perspective, I see that. So they say it's under these certain areas, armpits, shoulders, neck, all those things. What I've noticed is they think something different. A lot of times these are like places where you use your body a lot. So if you think of a cyst on your hand, if you're a person that works hard with your hands, contractor, plumber, whatever, right? Farmer, you end up getting cysts on your hands, right? Or working in the garden. The same kind of interreaction can happen with your body and these lipomas. There's not excess fat cells necessarily. It's your body's innate intelligence protecting the area. Okay. So a lot of times lipomas aren't the greatest situation, but it also could help you understand things, right? So some people, like I have some lipomas on where my pelvis, what they call that sacroiliac joint. And so I've had those as a very common spot. Well, the reason is because over time in sports, I believe, that wear and tear on that joint, your body created an extra, essentially padding to protect it, to lubricate it. And so sometimes lipomas aren't a bad thing. Freak people out when they first feel them, but it's one of those things where, and it's very simply medically, you can get them removed. Is it a huge deal if you do or not? Not really, so it's, unless they're like causing you things. I had a patient that we had to do it after several years. I had been adjusting him for 20 years and he had a lipoma on his neck. So we just adjusted around it. Well, as it slowly, sometimes it'll grow based on him being a farmer and he was constantly using his head to weld and all those kind of things. He actually increased this lipoma where it was actually pushing on a vertebrae. That's when you want to get in there and, get taken care of. Sometimes they'll come back on that same location, but they're really slow growing. And so that one is kind of an interesting one that I hear a lot of, is like, is this okay? And many times it is. It's not something to worry about, right? But on the Internet of Things, you'd think it's over, like the way that one reason I'm doing this show is like because of the internet and what it's done to my people, as we go. So that is the interesting part of the whole thing. It cracks me up how, the internet can say, oh man, that must mean you got to have surgery and chemotherapy and all this other garbage, because they know that they got you, right? They know you're in there looking it up. So therefore, if I scare the crap out of you, then maybe you'll do something bigger or surgical. So I wanted to throw that one out there. I thought that was a pretty cool article and a very common thing I see a lot. All right, let me look at another one. Okay. Oh, this one looks pretty good. Want to improve brain health? Here are 12 questions to ask your doctor. So these are all ones that are kind of medically based articles, but I just want to read them for you. This one's written by Yasmin Nicola Seke. This was like yesterday. All right. The American Academy of Neurology recently released a 12-question brain health checklist. This list encourages individuals to ask their doctors more questions to improve their brain health and take proactive steps to ensure they can prevent cognitive decline. Among these 12 factors are diet, exercise, sleep, genetics, and mental health. The American Academy of Neurology recently outlined several factors to improve brain health in an article published in Neurology, which is, by the way, a huge, very, very good publication on keeping up with stuff. It used to be very expensive. So, and if you got in there as a research article, it was always good. These factors include diet, sleep, exercise, and social interactions. Okay. Addressing the various aspects of neurological health at various stages of life, the article touched on 12 specific questions people should ask their neurologist or primary care physicians, probably your chiropractor, to help people take steps towards improving their health in the new year. These factors, collated under the acronym SAFEST Brains, include. So this acronym is like SAFEST Brains is how you remember the questions. So sleep. How are you sleeping? How's your mood, affect, or mental health? Your food, diet, and supplementation. Your exercise. Your supportive social interactions is a pretty huge one. Trauma avoidance. Blood pressure. Blood pressure is a pretty big one on why our mental health, our brain health is having trouble, because we're not regulating that very well, up or down, actually. Risks are metabolic or genetic factors. So if you have somebody that, in your family that has dementia, maybe it's start to look at brain health supplementation. Affordability and adherence, not sure what that is. Infection can be a big one. Sinus infections that go astray, those kind of things. Negative exposure, so exposures to radiation. What we talk about with in holistic is EMF, electromagnetic frequency stuff with cell phones and computer screens and all those kind of things. And then structural and social determinants, which is like how your overall body is. So not anything crazy on all these questions. Big one right now is I'll go down. So you understand the sleep and the mood one, food. You understand that, hopefully. If you don't, we got some good brain health ones on the 1% Tribe. So go watch those. Trauma avoidance. So trauma avoidance, I'm noticing this big. Now that we understand how crucial the role of brain injuries are. So with brain injuries, a lot of times you're having major issues in the world with like different brain related activities. Whiplash can cause some brain injury, and we're not treating it. And that's one of the problems. Like, we're doing it in sports now a lot more effectively, but in a lot of different things, we're not. So, car accidents, I'm seeing it. Just falls on ice, those kind of things. When your brain gets rattled, it is a good idea to get that stuff checked out. So just throwing that out there, I thought that was a pretty good article on different things, but doesn't say anything that me and you didn't know. So I'm going to move on from that one. I kind of like this, like researching my own stuff. All right, where's my other article? Okay, so let's go to the top trending stuff this year so far. On all the social media stuff. So here are some of the hot health trends for this week in 2025. Mental health focus. So improving and caring for our mental health remains the priority of this year towards cozy, mindful habits, taking time to slow up and to have a cup of tea or engaging in quick meditation sessions before bed. There's growing interest in actionable self-care moments that can positively impact well-being, which is cool because that means that's the top trend this year so far. What does that mean? Self-care. Taking care of the matter to allow the innate intelligence of your body to properly function. It's a beautiful thing. And all of a sudden you're going to feel better, right? It's more of this proactive approach. And that's what chiropractic has always been about, is the proactive self-care model. Chiropractic adjustments. Great. I got one today, right? Massage therapy, stretching, exercise, all these different things eating correctly. They're not hard. They don't show a result the next day, typically, but they're the thing that allows the matter to have the innate intelligence of your body expressed fully, so that when you go out into the bitter cold, you can respond to it very, very well. Okay. So remember that as we go. That's a great trend of 2025 so far. The one that I am really pumped about, the number 2 in this year so far, is gut health. Guys have been studying gut health for like 8 years. And I've had some amazing results with some of the people that I've worked with. And it's growing. Every single day we're growing. We're finding out more and more how this gut health allows a lot of these natural supplementations with herbal remedies and, nutritional advice and pain and immune system stuff. If the gut health is balanced, if you start having a good microbiome, life is really, really good. So remember that as we go, as we figure out this kind of thing, you looking and focusing on that gut health. And if you ever have any issues and you want to talk to me about it, let me know, because it's the very simple, very hard process. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing, but it's something that it can change your life. I'm not kidding about that. Okay. So our next one, well, this one's going to get interesting. And and all of you know it's there. So personalized medicine and AI. Okay, so advancements in personalized medicine, AI agents, and longevity are shaping health tech trends. AI is being utilized in health monitoring and telemedicine for more tailored health experiences. There's a lot I have to say about that. We need to do a whole thing on that just to make sure that we're prepared for this new world of AI. It's concerning, but also exciting. So there are some things AI is going to be really well done. The problem is AI could be even worse. When I say, the Google search mob, or the people that Google search a lot of stuff and they swear they have the condition, Imagine if AI is literally telling you have this condition, right? And who's programming that AI to give you all the available information? It's going to be petrifying because they're going to try to replace a lot of your healthcare with some of this stuff. They want all these different data, like everything's data driven. Well, in my world, the innate intelligence of the body is the runner of my AI. My AI is innate intelligence. What would I call it? We have innate organic intelligence. So it's not run by a computer, right? So it's not dots and tittles on a screen. It never will be. Okay. So there's always going to be a time where, are you going to use it? I'm sure there's going to be massive amounts of information you can get off of it. But depending on what is AI, is basically a giant, really fast computer program. So if you're able to computer program that towards the liking of whatever person runs that computer program, we're going to have issues with that. You think they're going to make if there's a drug out there that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe that drug company runs an AI that gets it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise within it. Do you think the guy selling vitamin C is going to do that? No. And so that's one of the big issues I see with it. As we go, it's here. So it's one of those things that I'm hoping my people will understand. I mean, they were talking today about AI making, specific genetic drugs, right? That's going to be the biggest thing out there. But what do we know about genes, ladies and gentlemen? We're not our genes. Never have been. Those are the little programs. But there are still people that believe that their genetics are what control and what drive their body and their overall health. The genes. That's why you have an entire science field called epigenetics by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He was one of the first to do epigenetics, where you can actually literally turn off, turn on the genes you want. But it's going to take our innate intelligence, not an intelligence from without, to be able to do that. It's not about changing your genes. It's not about eating correctly for your genetic type. Okay. You don't know all those things, right? So we have to start understanding that as we go. Is it good to know that information? Absolutely. Right. But it's going to be a push. It's going to be a real big push on the genetic part. And then what do you do if it doesn't work? Right. Yeah. I mean, you're saying, and the genes, you have the genes, let's say, for cancer in your family, and you eat everything, and then you end up with that same cancer. Why? Because there's other environmental influences, not just that. Remember, it's thoughts, toxins, trauma. So you have several ways that you have to keep this matter and that innate intelligence interacting with the universal intelligence of the world before we can do that. So I just want to throw that in my, sorry if I got on my soapbox there, but I'm going to talk a lot about this because I'm not letting it go until we understand it, because it's going to take a lot of education on everybody's part. Protein from whole foods is another big, that's probably number 4 overall this week. There's a shift towards consuming proteins from whole, nutrient-dense foods, which rather than just always protein powders. So that is very true. Protein powder is good though, because it's better than not any protein powder. However, there is some really good stuff out there to make sure that you're getting a lot of good whole food protein. And then the last one, which I hope takes off, is hydration innovations. So hydration innovations, beyond just drinking water, there's a trend towards hydration beverages that include trace minerals, vitamins, botanical extracts to boost energy and immune function. And that is happening a lot as people go away from the sugary pops and all those kind of things for that energy boost. Now we're getting a lot of really good information on like different hydration. A lot of times, most of these little gimmicks, though, you're going to have to watch them because it's probably pretty full of stuff that we probably don't want. So just remember that as we go forward. So that was the last one on the trends portion. Now we'll hit a little bit of the newest holistic stuff. All right. Let's see what one would be good. Ooh, this one's a pretty good one because of how many people have this issue. And this is one that we talk about where we can, if we are able to fix your digestive health, we can have a lot of good success with this, a lot of good herbal remedies. I've had a lot of really good success chiropractically with this situation. It's, like in the way we look at it in the overall approach, but how GERD, this is by Dr. Mercola. Yesterday is the article, how GERD impacts heart health. So research reveals a startling link between GERD, gastroesophageal reflux, right? So after you guys that say I have acid reflux, this is it, and serious heart problems. Discover how GERD impacts your cardiovascular health and what to do to protect yourself. Reflux, we'll just use that, often dismissed as just heartburn, increases the risk of cardiovascular problems like high blood pressure and heart attacks. Reflux triggers chronic inflammation, which damages blood vessels and contributes to heart disease. Remember that chronic inflammation is really, really close to your heart. And so a lot of times that can be a significant situation. Research suggests that GERD also increases your risk of developing irregular heartbeats or arrhythmias. Common reflux medications like proton pump inhibitors have serious side effects and worsen the underlying problem long term. PPIs that all of you guys are taking, or that, like for several, that was only a few month thing. We're supposed to be able to reverse this. Okay. So, and it takes a lot of effort to do that, but these PPIs have a lot of long-term consequences. Lifestyle changes, including optimizing your mitochondrial function to build cellular energy, dietary adjustments, and natural remedies often effectively manage GERD and protect heart health. So some of these lifestyle changes are in the chiropractic world. There is a lot that you can do. There's a lot of digestive things in the herbal remedies. One that I've found that's super interesting, papaya enzyme. Papaya enzyme helps get these digestive enzymes going in the right direction. So that one's really good. And those can be fantastic. So, like as we're going, so, okay, let me go to a list of things. I don't want to read the whole article because you don't need. So we understand the cardiovascular risk, which is a big deal, but think of papaya enzyme. Think of rebalancing the pH within your system. One that I really like now is apple cider vinegar, a little spoonful of that stuff. It helps get that pH up to the right thing. Again, getting back to having a good gut bacteria, understanding that, maybe having like a coach like our office, like kind of walk you through getting your gut bacteria correctly, eating fermented foods. Why? Because we want to get that gut bacteria back up there, right? And because if the gut bacteria is up there, the pH of your intestinals will start being correct. If the gut is out of control, it has a hard time and it stays acidic. That acidic adds to this wear and tear of this esophageal reflux. Okay. If you had that chronic inflammation, then those inflammatories, those cells just don't stay there. They can go into your cardiovascular and cause problems. And PPIs over a long-term time frame could be a major problem. So that's why you must figure out a good holistic solution. Okay. All right. So a lot of mitochondria stuff. One of the other so the mitochondria. So look up, research what would make your mitochondria function at the highest thing. And a lot of times it's what they call hydrogen-rich foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, and proteins, chloride-rich foods, such as salt, tomatoes, lettuce, celery, olives, provides dietary sources to get this stomach acid under control. Fermented foods is a big one. One of my favorites that I learned in herbal, having bitters. Bitters are a way to get your digestive tract going prior to you eating a meal. Sometimes they can get your body ready so that you don't end up with this esophageal reflux, which is super painful, and it's a terrible one. And that's why people are on the PPIs. It's not because they want to be, it's because they are awful. So the feeling of esophageal reflux is really, really tough on you. So hopefully we can start doing some things. Postural awareness. One of the ones that my office manager was a champ on is when you eat, if you have GERD really bad, sometimes it's better to stand and eat, because sometimes it's our postural awareness. And what happens is when we sit down and we have those intestinals driving up in there, it doesn't have a lot. If you think of the digestive tract, it needs the flow away, right? So if we're sitting and eating, which is a very common thing, we sit, we eat food, and that reflux kind of comes up underneath, causing you sometimes it could cause this hiatal hernia as well. So a lot of times you get this reflux because things can't flow. So if you are able to stand up and eat, when you stand up and eat, you'll notice a big difference in the esophageal situation. Even though it's still acidic, it still is flowing through your body easier. And that's what you got to think of. When you think of innate intelligence, you got to think, how is the digestive tract going? Were we always sitting and eating? No, we were probably walking around and snacking, and doing littler meals, especially on the bigger meals. Sometimes standing up and eating, maybe sitting, and then making sure you're going for a walk after a meal. That could be a really good one too. So yeah, that is what I have for today. I don't want to get too crazy because I want to make sure my kid gets to a basketball game. But I hope you guys are enjoying Whole Health Weekly. This is my first time trying the recording video-wise. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'll be uploading it, right after this. But yeah, as we go forward, I hope to have this every Wednesday. And don't forget, we do 1% Tribe on Sunday night. Last week was kind of epic. I had 4 guests. It was pretty fun. So join us on Rumble under the Prize Inside. If you're a podcaster, go on Spotify and find the Prize Inside. It'll be fun. So hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks.